You're sitting at a dinner table with people you love. Someone tells a joke. Everyone laughs. But you don't hear the joke. You hear the slight crack in your friend's voice when she said she was doing fine 3 minutes ago. You notice the way she picked up her glass right after she said it? Not to drink, just to hold something. You see her boyfriend glance at his phone under the table while she's mid-sentence, and no one else catches any of it. You laugh anyway. But something in your chest tightens, because you just watched a tiny fracture happen in real time, and you're the only person in the room who knows. Most people would call this overthinking. They'd say you're reading too much into things. But what if the real problem isn't that you see too much? What if the problem is that you see accurately, and no one around you sees what you see? If that hits close, stay here. You're not broken, you're not paranoid, and you're definitely not alone. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 7 psychological reasons why some people are wired to notice everything. The micro-expressions, the shifts in energy, the things people say between their words. We'll look at what's actually happening in your brain when you walk into a room and immediately sense that something is off. And the last thing I'll share, number 7, might completely reframe how you see this part of yourself. Not as a flaw, not as a curse, as something else entirely. Let's get into it. Number 1, your brain doesn't filter, it absorbs. You walk into a coffee shop. Most people register the basics. The line is long, the music is loud, there's an empty seat by the window. But you notice the barista's jaw is tight. You notice the couple in the corner hasn't spoken in 11 minutes. You notice the guy by the door keeps checking the parking lot, like he's waiting for someone who might not show up. None of this is useful information. None of it was requested. But your brain took it all in anyway, like a net that catches every fish, including the ones you didn't want. This isn't imagination. Psychologists who study sensory processing sensitivity have found that some people's brains genuinely process environmental stimuli more deeply than others. Their neural pathways don't just detect input, they elaborate on it. They assign meaning, emotional weight, and context to things most brains simply discard. Not because these people choose to notice everything, but because their nervous system was never given an off switch. The result? A 15-minute trip to get coffee can feel like you've read 40 short stories, all of them someone else's. Number 2, you feel rooms before you read them. Here's a scene you've probably lived. You open a door, a meeting is already in progress. No one says anything unusual, no one looks at you funny, but within 3 seconds, you know something happened before you walked in. The air is wrong. You can't explain it, but there's a heaviness, like the room has a texture. This is interoception, your brain's ability to read your own internal body signals and use them as data about the external world. People with heightened interoceptive awareness don't just sense vibes. Their body is literally responding to social cues, muscle tension, vocal pitch, breathing patterns of others, before the conscious mind has time to form a thought. Your gut isn't guessing, it's processing faster than language. The problem? You walk in, feel that something is wrong, and now you carry that tension for the rest of the day. And when you mention it later, did something happen in that meeting? People look at you like you're being dramatic, so you learn to stop mentioning it. But you never stop feeling it. Number 3, you know what people mean, not what they say. Someone tells you, it's fine, don't worry about it, and you hear every word. But you also hear the pause before fine. You hear the slight downward shift in their pitch. You see the way they broke eye contact just before the period landed. And now you know, it's not fine. This is your theory of mind working overtime. Theory of mind is the brain's ability to model other people's internal states, their beliefs, desires, intentions, emotions. Everyone has it to some degree, but in people who are too aware, it doesn't just activate during conflict or high-stakes conversations. It runs constantly, like software that never closes. Not because you're nosy, not because you're controlling, but because your brain treats every human interaction like a puzzle, and it won't stop solving until the pieces fit. The cost? You end up understanding people better than they understand themselves. And that sounds like a superpower, until you realize it means you're always 3 steps ahead in a conversation no one else knows is happening. Number 4, you don't get tired from doing things, you get tired from noticing things. Friday night, you went out with friends. Nothing dramatic happened. No fights, no awkward moments, no late night. You were home by 10. And yet, you wake up on Saturday morning feeling like you ran a marathon in your sleep. This is cognitive load in action. Your working memory, the part of your brain that holds and manipulates information in real time, has a limited capacity. Most people use it to track the conversation, choose what to eat, decide when to laugh. You're doing all of that, plus tracking 6 people's emotional states, noticing who interrupted whom, registering that one friend has been quieter than usual, and wondering if the joke someone made at 8:47 was actually a disguised complaint. Not because you want to, because your brain doesn't know how to stop. This is why hyper-aware people often cancel plans at the last minute, prefer small groups over large ones, and need long stretches of solitude that look like laziness to the outside world. It's not antisocial, it's recovery. Number 5, you absorb emotions that aren't yours. Your coworker walks in on a Monday morning. She doesn't say anything is wrong. She smiles at you. She makes small talk about the weekend, but 10 minutes later, you feel heavy. Not sad exactly, just weighted, like someone draped a damp blanket over your shoulders. And then she mentions, casually, 3 hours later, that she and her partner had a fight last night. And suddenly, the weight makes sense. You were carrying her sadness before she even named it. Neuroscientists point to mirror neurons as part of the explanation. Neural circuits that fire both when you perform an action and when you observe someone else performing it. In emotionally attuned people, this mirroring extends beyond actions to internal states. You don't just see someone's pain, your brain partially simulates it. Not because you're weak, not because you lack boundaries, but because your wiring treats other people's emotions as relevant data, and your body responds before your logic has a chance to intervene. This is why you sometimes cry at movies that aren't even sad, feel anxious around anxious people, or leave a conversation feeling drained without understanding why. You weren't just listening, you were co-experiencing. Number 6, your brain won't let go of unfinished things. It's 1 a.m., you have work tomorrow, your body is exhausted, but your brain is replaying a conversation from 2 p.m., looping the same 30 seconds over and over. Not because something went wrong, but because something felt slightly unresolved. A sentence that ended too quickly. A look that didn't match the words. A moment where you thought about saying something honest and chose the safe version instead. Psychologists call this the Zeigarnik Effect, the brain's tendency to fixate on tasks and experiences that feel incomplete. Your mind doesn't do this because it's anxious. It does it because it detected an open loop, a social equation that didn't balance, and it refuses to file it away until it resolves. The cruel irony? Most of these loops can never be closed. You can't go back and ask, what did that look mean? You can't rewind and say the thing you actually wanted to say. So the loop just keeps running, burning energy while the rest of the world sleeps. And over time, this becomes a quiet kind of loneliness. Not because you don't have people around you, but because the version of reality you're processing is so much denser than anyone else's, and there's no one to compare notes with. Now, if you've recognized yourself in most of these, I want you to hold on, because everything I've described so far has been the cost, the weight, the exhaustion of a brain that never stops scanning. And I know part of you is thinking, I just want it to stop. I just want to walk into a room and not feel everything. I just want to have a normal conversation without reading the footnotes. But here's where it turns. Number 7, your awareness isn't a malfunction. It's your brain's deepest form of caring. This is the part most psychology videos leave out. They list the signs, validate the pain, and stop there, as if being hyper-aware is simply a burden to manage. But when researchers study what's actually happening in the brains of highly perceptive people, they find something surprising. The same neural networks responsible for deep social processing, the default mode network, the prefrontal cortex, the regions involved in mentalizing, are also the networks most active during meaning-making, empathy, and creative insight. Your brain doesn't notice everything because it's broken. It notices everything because it's searching for patterns, for truth, for the version of people that exists beneath what they're willing to show. Not because you're paranoid, but because, at a fundamental level, your brain has decided that people matter so much that it dedicates enormous resources to understanding them. Think about that. The exhaustion you feel after social interaction, that's not dysfunction. That's the cost of genuine attention in a world that mostly runs on autopilot. The heaviness you carry after absorbing someone's unspoken pain, that's not weakness. That's what it feels like to take another person seriously with your entire nervous system. The loneliness of seeing what no one else sees, that's not a flaw. That's the price of depth. And here's the part that changes things. You don't need to see less. You don't need to turn yourself down. You need to stop apologizing for a brain that was built to pay attention and start learning which signals actually deserve your energy and which ones you can let pass through without holding. Because here's the truth no one told you. Being too aware was never the problem. The problem was believing that your awareness made you too much, when really, it just meant you were in a room full of people listening to AM radio while you were picking up frequencies they didn't even know existed. Remember that dinner table? The cracked voice, the phone under the table, the glass held for comfort, not for drinking. You saw all of it. And yeah, it made the evening heavier for you. But it also means that if that friend ever falls apart, you'll be the one who already knew. Not because you were told, because you were paying attention when it actually mattered. That's not a curse. That's the rarest kind of loyalty your brain knows how to give. If this made sense to you, if you've spent your whole life wondering why you can't just turn it off, subscribe. There's a lot more here for brains like yours. And drop a comment. Do you wish you could turn your awareness off? Or would you keep it, even knowing the cost? I'll see you in the next one.